What is up, YouTube? This is Designer Malcolm, and I hope you are finding so much value in this series. In today's lecture, we're going to explore everything that has to do with color. We're going to talk about the essentials of color, a little bit of color theory. Color is so important in your designs. You need to master it. Once you master color, it'll only amplify your taste. So I hope you enjoy this video. Let's hop right in.
I got tell my bestie, someone call my bestie, say I found my bestie, link up, make the check bleed. You know that I'm smoking dope, I'll be hot till next week. No, I had to let her go, cause she can't arrest me. Tell her what's up, tell her what's up, tell her it's on, tell her it's on, tell her what's up, tell her what's up, tell her it's on, tell her it's on, tell her what's up, tell her what's up, tell her it's on, tell her it's on, tell her what's up, tell her what's up, tell her it's on.
What is up, YouTube family? Designer Malcolm here, and today I want to introduce you to a game-changing AI toolkit that I use every single day in my businesses. It's my secret weapon to staying ahead in a competitive marketplace. You see, we are living in the age of AI, and here's the truth. If you're not leveraging this incredible technology in your design studio, creative freelance business, or agency, you're setting yourself up to fall behind. Slow businesses lose, period. As a creative entrepreneur, I get it. I've been there, juggling a dozen different tools just to keep my business running. I had Notion for a knowledge base, DocuSign for invoicing, Calendly for scheduling, Webflow for websites, ClickUp for project management, School for my community, Slack for my team communication, and HubSpot for my CRM. The list was endless, and the chaos was real. This kind of tech bloat is a serious problem in our industry, and honestly, it's unnecessary. When your workflow is scattered across multiple tools, your efficiency tanks, and running your business feels like trying to sprint through a swamp. That's why I made the switch. You see, Lancer OS is an all-in-one AI-powered toolkit built specifically for design studios, creative entrepreneurs, freelancers, and agencies. With Lancer OS, you can seamlessly automate client acquisition, streamline project management, improve client communication, send invoices, and honestly, there's so much more, all from one powerful platform. What's the goal? Well, the goal is to help 10,000 businesses like yours eliminate tech bloat, cut costs, and operate like a well-oiled machine. If you're serious about taking your business into the AI age and staying ahead of the curve, now is the time to act. As a part of my design family, and I love you guys, you're getting exclusive access to a 30-day free trial of Lancer OS. Don't wait until you're left behind. Join the 10,000 army already transforming their business today with Lancer OS. So let's build something incredible together, and let's change the industry. What is up, YouTube family and all of my Designer Malcolm supporters? I'm having a bunch of fun making these. You know, the goal is to just provide as much value for you if you are new or vetted in the design industry. A lot of this stuff is good to revisit and just to have a refresher, right? So I hope you're enjoying these. We're going to get right into this lesson on color theory. I got my tea. I'm drinking a little bit of peppermint tea, so it'll help with the throat. But let's get right into this. So color theory. By far, color theory was one of my favorite classes that I took in college. And the beautiful thing about color theory is if you master this, it really can amplify your taste as a designer. If you think about how often you've seen, whether it's a garment or a painting or something that has just colors that don't make sense, it can clash, right? Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's not. It's a lack of knowledge in color theory. But if you can manage color theory, it doesn't matter what your discipline is. It'll really enhance your designs. It'll really enhance your execution. And it's just something about the mastery of color theory can really, like I said, elevate your taste, especially when people come across your work. So let's get right into this. I hope you're going to enjoy this. We're going to keep it light. Like I said, these are lectures. I want to make it fun and engaging. I'm going to try and stay high energy for you guys. No, I will stay high energy for you guys throughout this lesson or this lecture. Shouldn't be too long, but let's do this. All right. So color theory. What we are going to talk about today is what is color theory, the color wheel, color harmony, warm versus cool colors, the psychology of color, tools for color selection, and tips for using color in design. So just a nice hit list. Should get you ready, get you right. You can always take some of these concepts and go a little deeper if you want to nerd out. I just want to touch the surface and just kind of prep you. So what is color theory? Color theory is the science and art of using color, right? So it is a science. And with any science, there's always hypotheses that need to be proven, right? Science is always changing, depending on the science. Some science is fact, but this is a science. There's always, and it's interesting because color theory is, there's some subjectivity to it as well, but for the most part, a lot of the fundamentals or the foundations in the science are, I would say, accurate. What else is it? Well, it helps designers create visually appealing combinations and communicate emotions effectively. If you think about it, think about certain colors that you see and how they make you feel or what kind of emotion they evoke from you. Right now, my backdrop is red. It's a nice calming light for me. Just to give you some extra info about myself, part of my daily ritual is I like to wake up and I like red light therapy. Now, this has nothing to do with design, but it is the color red, and there's arguably it has health benefits, and some has yet to be proven, but there's something about that red light therapy that I use. It just what it does to me, the emotion it evokes. I remember I was meditating the other day, and I just felt so much happiness, so much joy after my red light therapy session. So that's the beautiful thing about that. So if you're creating some sort of artwork or if you're doing a project, and perhaps you're trying to decide brand colors for a company or a client, you really want to understand, you want to put your designer hat on, and you want to understand what kind of emotion that company or client is trying to communicate, and what can make that client or work visually appealing. It's important to know that colors aren't just aesthetic, they have meaning. Red can evoke passion or urgency. Blue feels calm and trustworthy. And yellow, that's all about energy and optimism. So those are some very, very important things when you think about. I'm trying to think about an example. I know in fast food, I don't want to quote this, but I believe there's something about like McDonald's. They make the inside red or something. One of these fast food places, they kind of make the inside of their joints red. I don't eat fast food, but it has something to do with like invoking hunger. And if you know this, please comment in the comment section. I'm all about correcting if you can provide context on that. But there's something about like certain tones of red can kind of evoke hunger. Perhaps that's that passion, that urgency to get food in you, right? But these are just some basics, and red, yellow, and blue are your primary colors. So that's why I wanted to talk about those. So what is color theory? Well, there you go. That's what color theory is. The color wheel. So this is basic Color Theory 101 is your color wheel. And honestly, I would highly recommend anyone who is in the creative arts field to get yourself a set of paints. You only need three colors. You only need red, you only need yellow, and you only need blue. And make yourself a color wheel. This is such a fantastic exercise. And if you've never painted with acrylic before, or oil, or whatever, it's a great way to kind of step outside of your comfort zone. But this exercise right here, fantastic for really understanding color, for understanding what colors make what. It's just an incredible exercise, and I highly recommend you do this. If you do, please make your first color wheel. Take a photo and tag me on Instagram and say, "Hey, I made my first color wheel." Um, just a little story, a little backstory. When I was in college, it was a pain in the arse. Uh, I just could not get it, and when it clicked, it was amazing. And we started off with the color wheel. That was like the main project, but really what we would do is we made like a linear graph, right? And it was from warm to cold. We did a lot of different exercises with color, but when you have your color wheel, you have what's called your primary colors. Everyone should know their primary colors: red, blue, and yellow. These can't be created by mixing other colors. So they're your foundation, right? You can't mix pink and light green to get blue. It just doesn't work that way. They're your primary, they're the first. Then you have your secondary colors, orange, green, and purple, and they're made by mixing your primary colors. Then you have your tertiary colors, and these are the in-betweens, like red, orange, and blue, green. And then you also have the tertiary, I believe. It's like the four. And those are like in between those. So understanding the color wheel, it really helps you predict which colors work well together. What it'll do is if you're new to design, it's good to have this next to you. And what you're doing is you're training your eye, right? You're training your eye to see and be aware of what works and what doesn't. And then you do this enough, you're going to be like, oh, you can just have an intuition. You're going to have that instinct of what colors work well with each other. And I believe once you achieve that, that's when your taste starts to amplify. That's when you just have another level of confidence. I mean, if you combine your understanding of the color wheel with a solid understanding of typography, like those two make logos right there. You got a nice color and you got some typography or type font, and you can complement those, bring them together. So what you're going to realize here is all of these foundations, they build on top of each other as a designer. Nothing's mutually exclusive, right? You want to look at these as a whole. Like it's a saying called the Dropout theory, right? The one is not greater than the sum of the whole, I believe it is. I probably butchered that. But what that means is one piece, it complements the whole. And that's the beauty of all of these foundations that I'm teaching you. So that is the color wheel. Understand this, master this, make one. Just take it. You could do it in an hour, 30 minutes. Just start with red. You don't have to get a whole bunch of colors. And actually, you shouldn't. You should just get red, blue, and green and try to make these colors. And you'll have so much fun doing it. Throw on a podcast, maybe throw on some Designer Malcolm, and just kind of go at it. And you'll be surprised at how helpful it will be at training your eye. It'll give you an understanding of colors, which ones make what works well with each other. So this is the color wheel. The next thing is color harmony. So color harmony, what is that? What is harmony, right? Harmony it's simple. It's something that just works, right? What works well together. So you have your complementary colors. So these are going to be what's opposite on the color wheel, right? Those are going to complement each other. That's the root word in there. Like blue and orange, they create high contrast and energy. Then you have your analogous colors. So these are neighboring colors on the wheel, like green, blue, and blue. These are harmonious and soothing, right? So like red, orange, stuff like that. Then you have your triadic colors, right? And these colors, they're evenly spaced around the wheel, like red, yellow, and blue. This scheme feels vibrant and balanced. So the reason why it feels vibrant and balanced is because you get a little bit of everything. And personally, when I'm creating a palette, I like to have around 3 colors. So if you can, it gives you enough to work with, but it's not too much. And then you have that balance. And remember what we talked about. Um, I think I'll go into this in one of our future lessons, but balance is one of those key fundamentals in design: balance, rhythm, um, unity, things like that. So when you approach a project, when you approach a client, and they're looking at you to really figure out their their brand or whatever, you know, typically I like to stay within that split. The triadic color range is nice. I mean, you could go analogous, right? But the triadic gives you that balance. And you have split complementary. You have tetradic. So for extra credit, if you guys can explain to me what those are, split complementary and tetradic, in the comments, I might have a gift for somebody. I might. No promises though, but I want to hear what you guys think. But all in all, this is color harmony. Also, if you guys want me to leave or give you access to these PowerPoint slides, I'll be happy to do that. I just need to know that there's demand for it. So if you guys would like these slides, let me know in the comment section, and I'll figure out a way to get these over to you. More often, or more than likely, can't talk this morning, but more than likely, the access to these slides will be in the community, the Lancer OS community. So if you guys do want these, let me know, and I'll probably drop them there, and I'll let you guys know. So that's color harmony. Let's go on to the next thing. Excuse me. So you have warm versus cool. Warm colors like your reds, yellows, and oranges feel energetic and inviting. And that's what I was getting at with my earlier reference to food spaces. They would use like reds because it invites you in, right? It invites you in. There's and this is why it's subjective, because certain warm colors, and actually the same warm color, right, can make you feel passion and can make you feel urgent, but it can also make you feel inviting, right? It just depends on the context. So that's like I said, something really interesting to know. When you're out and about, when you're with people or family and you're going somewhere, think about what colors you're seeing around you and how they're affecting the people around you. A lot of people are unaware, right? It's a subconscious thing, but that's just something interesting to note. Cool colors are blues, greens, and purples, and they are calming and professional. Um, Side note, I believe a couple years ago, Pantone, and I'm going to talk about Pantone in a little bit, they came out with their color of the year, and they usually do this, and it was this Facebook blue. And I'm going to tie this together, but I was like, well, why is this Facebook blue? And it was just the color that it was pretty standard amongst a ton of logos that you saw across a lot of tech companies. But what does that mean though? Well, that Facebook blue, and I don't think it was called Facebook blue. I'm just saying Facebook blue because if Meta blue, if you want to call it that. But that blue has it has a very professional, neutral, not neutral like in like neutral colors, but it has a very approachable aesthetic, right? It's not red and bright in your face. It's not yellow. You can't see. It's not green, off-putting, right? But it was something about, and there's some greens. Typically, I would say the greens that are more professional are when you mix them with blue, not like you're just raw green. That could be a little Yeah, like think about what people associate green with. But yes, that blue, and I'll get the name of it one day. I don't know, but this was yeah, when you look at that, you notice when they came out with that color of the year, there were so many companies that leveraged that blue or the like thereof. So when choosing the right temperature, it depends on the mood and message you want to convey, and that's the most important fundamental here. So it's all about like design at its core is just a form of communication, right? Um, it's a form of communication through leveraging these principles. So it's all about your client, it's all about your work, what you're trying to communicate, and what message you're trying to convey, right? And you want to choose the right colors accordingly. All right. The psychology of color. So this is where, when I talked about color earlier, um, I kind of meant I mentioned a little bit of it is subjective, and here's why. So there's cultural differences that can influence color perception. So and this is very important because depending on who your audience is, you want to research, right? I'm sure somewhere in the world, some like red could be offensive, right? Blue or green, or I think like lasses lop. What's that? It's like a blue stone, lapis lazuli or something like that. I'm butchering that, but that's like a royal stone, right? And it was just like a rich blue. Um, it just depends on your audience, and so it's very important to understand um, who's on the other end, right, of that design, of that um, business logo, of that whatever you're creating. You want to be aware, right, because that can help you make uh, informed decisions when it comes to your execution, right? And so red, typically it grabs attention and it's great for sales or alerts. Green symbolizes growth, making it perfect for eco-friendly brands. But there's also certain types of green that could kind of come off as off-putting, right? It just depends, like your audience. Purple, yes, purple you usually associate with what's luxurious and creative. It's ideal for high-end products. These aren't law, but these are a good starting point. And it always comes down to you conducting your research and understanding your audience. Tools for color selection. So there's a gazillion, quadrillion, a billion tools out there. These are just a few. I've used about, I would say probably, yes, I've used all of these. Actually, surprisingly, I haven't used the Adobe Color tool. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Now, inside Illustrator, there's a whole library of swatches. I've used that, and you can always like find more swatches to download and add to your program. But all in all, a lot of you will probably spend 60 to 70% in Adobe products, unless you're on the Figma bandwagon. bandwagon. If you're on the Figma bandwagon, and there's nothing wrong with Figma, I use Figma. Um, I just like, Adobe's the OG. And if you didn't know this, I think earlier this year, or maybe, yeah, some time ago, not some time, but like pretty recent, Adobe almost acquired Figma. So that just shows you that Figma is a powerful tool. It's a great web app. But anyway, I digress. Adobe Colors is cool. Coolers is awesome. Love Coolers. It's basically a color generator. And actually, when we talked about the harmony of colors, right? It allows you to see what colors work well with each other in real time, and you can randomize it and create color palettes. Color Picker's one. That's a great tool. I use Colorzilla, and what is that? So it's a great tool for your browser. So it looks like a little eyedropper, one that you would see in design software. You click it, and let's say there's a color on your screen. Um, there's a color on your screen, and you want that color. You would just click it, and it'll tell you the color. It'll tell you the hex code. You have Pantone. So Pantone is the father, right? It's like they have tons and tons of swatches, and Pantone's great for, I would say, physical, tangible items. You can leverage Pantone for digital stuff, obviously, but it really shines in the tangible world. Um, and then a bonus I would like to share with you guys is this is a fantastic book. I read it in college, but it's just called Color. And you should be able to find this somewhere. But it's by Paul Zelensky and Mary Fisher. Great book on color. It goes even deeper, way deeper than what I'm covering in this lecture. These guys are far more knowledgeable than me, so I'm leveraging some of their concepts. But fantastic book, and I believe it's, don't get the 1991. That's like $100, but this one's like 50. It's just a good resource to have. Good to have on hand. Full of insight. All right. So, tips for using color in design. Just right off the bat, limited palette. You want to stick to a limited palette. Remember, I talked about I like to use the split complementary. Um, uh, no, not split complementary. Analogous. I like to use analogous. Those typically are the ones that I'm butchering this. Hold on. All right. Tips for using color in design. So you have your limited palette. This is a huge tip. You want to stick to a limited palette. 3 to 5 colors are usually enough. I like three. That's a sweet spot for me. Um, but this is when I go back to, I usually like the triadic, right, color arrangements. So all right, tips for using color in design. I have 3 tips for you. There's obviously a lot more, but these are a good starting point. The first tip I have is you want to limit your palette. Typically, 3 to 5 is enough. And this kind of goes back to my philosophy of why I like triadic, because there's that balance, right? You have a little bit of warm, a little bit of cold, or cool, excuse me. But yeah, so when you start to get into like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different colors, and obviously this is for, I would say this is mainly for a lot of design studios, graphic designers, not my artists out there. My artists, you can do whatever, right? It just depends on the 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 artwork that you're producing. But there is some elements of truth here, so you can leverage these tips even if you are an artist, right? Certain aspects of your creation. But this rule really helps those who are designers, in the digital space. So you really want to limit that palette. You want to use contrast to guide attention. Light text on a dark background or vice versa works best. Accessibility. You don't want to forget about that. always check contrast ratios to ensure readability for all users, right? And like what did I mention before? Design, the goal is to convey a message. So if it's not accessible and there's no and the has poor readability, you failed. Um, so yeah, these are some tips: limited palette, some contrast, and accessibility. And that should help you. That should help you a lot. All right. So thank you for being a part of this really, fun lecture. I enjoyed talking to you all about color theory. My goal is to keep these, relatively short and sweet. So what are your next steps? Well, obviously, I need you to like, subscribe, and follow me. By doing that, that'll keep me excited to keep making these for you. And then one last thing I just want to say, if you are a studio owner or creative freelancer, it doesn't matter, right? And whatever you do, check out Lancer OS. It is the best all-in-one AI toolkit on the market to help you run your business. You can scan this QR code and get your 30-day free trial. I had to plug this in. This helps me and the channel. I highly recommend it. I use it for my businesses. It's a fantastic tool, from invoicing to project management. You can create communities. It's a CRM, build websites, all you need. And I know a lot of you who are coming up and starting off, you are probably on a tight budget. This tool will help you streamline your business process so you can start making money fast, right? I think the days of having 50 tools are coming to an end. It's just not efficient. And so, like I said, I want to plug this in, support the channel, support your boy, and thank you for tuning in to this lecture. And I will catch you on the next one. Peace.